Just move with me, darling, and I'm gonna move with you too. Can't stop, now you got me started.
Hi everyone, and welcome to AC Always Connected, Cooking Demo and Food Styling. I'm Michelle and I'm the Events Officer with the AC Hub. Today we are joined by Dee Carruthers from Deelicious Eats. AC Always Connected is an online event series that keeps our entire college community connected. So before we get started, we just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. We ask that you please keep your microphone on mute, but we would like to encourage everyone to turn their cameras on for a little bit of face-to-face time. And now along the bottom of your screen, you'll see a button called chat. We encourage you to open this button and open this tab and communicate with the Algonquin College community. If you have a question throughout the event, please feel free to just type it in the chat. At the end of the event, we'll be opening it up for a little Q&A session. You can use the chat tab or you can use the raise hand function, and you can find that just by clicking on the participants button and then raise your virtual hand. Following Dee's question, then you can ask your questions then, but we're going to actually kick the event off by asking everyone a question. And the question is, what is your favorite type of taco? So you can type this into the chat, but don't click send until everyone's had the opportunity to type it out. So you can just open up the chat and type it in there, and then I'll count down from 3 in just a few minutes. Okay, so I'll count down. 3, 2, 1, go. Awesome. Lots of fish tacos, and I would love to know where and if everyone can, or maybe at some point, also just restaurants in Ottawa that you'd recommend for tacos. Awesome, thank you everyone. So again, feel free to continue to use the chat. So now I am pleased to introduce Dee Carruthers from Deelicious Eats. Dee is a recipe developer and a food stylist. Dee is a graduate from business school at Western University. And 3 years ago, Dee decided to follow her passion for food and totally switch her career. So Dee has a culinary degree and she's perfected her skills cooking in one of Toronto's top restaurants, Richmond Station. For the past year, Dee has been working in the test kitchen at THP, a Toronto-based agency developing food content and media for major brands. When Dee's not in the test kitchen at work, she's usually at home in her own kitchen, developing recipes and sharing photos on her Instagram and website. Dee is excited to cook with us and share some tips and tricks for making delicious food. So Dee, over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited. I've never really done this before, so this will be a first time for me. I don't know how many of you are following along with the recipe, but if I'm moving too fast or if you want me to stop or you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to Michelle and she'll stop me. So I guess first we'll go over what we're making today. We're doing chicken tacos with the apple slaw. I really like this recipe because it's quick to pull together and it's delicious. And also you can make it look really pretty on a plate, which we'll get to at the end. So first off, as I said in the ingredients, I really like to use for tacos when I'm like trying to make them quick is like store-bought rotisserie chicken. So that's what we have here today. I've already like shredded it, but it's really easy to just pull apart. I sort of like to keep it a little bit on like the chunkier side so we can get some like bites of chicken in the taco, but that's totally up to your preference if you want to pull it a little bit more and have like smaller pieces. And if you don't want to get rotisserie from the store, you could obviously just roast your own chicken or just bake a chicken breast and cube it up, which would be fine. You could also poach your chicken, which is a really easy method that allows it to still be like tender and like pull aparty. So I have all my chicken here. It's about 3 cups of pulled chicken. And then for the sauce, it's a pretty easy sauce. I'm using chipotle, like the canned chipotles and adobo. And this is about two of the chipotles that I've minced up. I'm a little bit of a baby when it comes to spice. So I usually do more like 1. I'll probably put in half of this. But again, if you make this, put in as much as you like. We also just have some stewed tomatoes from the can. Can't really show you, but yeah, it's just stewed tomatoes. We also have an onion that we're gonna saute, and then some garlic cloves. For the garlic cloves, I said minced in the ingredient list, and I really like using a microplane, which is a super easy thing to buy. They're not expensive, and it's just a really nice way to mince your garlic, not having to do it with a knife. And you can also use this for like Parmesan on salads or on pasta, for lemon zest, anything like that. So this is a tool that I really like in the kitchen that I feel like a lot of people don't have. So I just wanted to mention that. And then on top of all this chicken mixture, we're gonna have a nice slaw with apple and cabbage. So this is purple cabbage, which I really like to use because I think it's like a really nice color. And when we talk about putting it together on the plate, the purple really pops and makes it look really pretty versus just using the regular green cabbage. And then we're also gonna mix in an apple. I like using a green apple. I leave the skin on and everything. Again, the color looks really pretty. And yeah, so the slaw is a really nice contrast to sort of the spicy chicken. And then we're gonna have some garnishes like some jalapeno, some lime, some cilantro. You can also I also have some feta here that we're gonna crumble up. And then as well, if you have avocado, I wasn't able to find a good ripe avocado today, so I'm gonna skip that. But I mean, avocado is amazing. So if you can find a good ripe one, definitely put that on as a garnish. But yeah, I guess let's get started and start cooking. So I'm gonna first start by just dicing up an onion. I think the recipe calls for about half a cup. So I have like a decently small onion here that we'll just dice up. And that'll probably be about half a cup. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna get my pan nice and hot, probably over like about medium heat. And then, yeah, you can use sort of whatever pan you like. I have like a Dutch oven-y type pan, which I like because it holds heat really well. And it's good for non-stick. Like I find it's good for easy clean if it's seasoned properly. But I'm using the one that's like it's like a Le Creuset, so it's already seasoned and yeah, so you don't have to worry about that. So we have our onion here. I'm gonna put my pan over, like medium heat and put some olive oil in and get that all heated up. Let me know if you guys can hear me good.
Yeah, your volume's
Pretty
great.
good.
I was just wondering, would you be able to tilt your camera or your phone just a little bit down when it's
okay? Yeah,
so you can see the
you can see what I'm doing.
That's good.
There we go. Yeah, so all I did was just dice some onions, not too small, just whatever, medium dice works. And then we're gonna add some of the garlic in and some of the chipotle peppers. And we also have some cumin. This is just ground cumin. I really like it. If you don't love cumin, you don't have to add it. You could add like paprika or like chili powder or anything like that. And then our pan's getting hot now, so I'm gonna add in the onions. I'm gonna bring my cutting board right over there. And I'll bring you guys around. I'll try to like switch it, flip the camera so you guys can see while we're cooking up the tacos. Bring you around to my oven. So we've just added the onions in and we're gonna saute them out till they're like nice and translucent and beginning to soften. And then at that point, we'll add the garlic. Because garlic tends to burn a lot faster than onions, I like to add it more like near the end, so the onions sweat out and the garlic won't burn. And then the nice thing with the microplane is you can literally just put it right into the pan. You don't have to like dirty a cutting board or anything like that. So yeah, we'll give this another couple minutes. And the next thing we can start doing is the slaw. I like to sort of put the lime and salt on a little bit before, so it softens the cabbage and marinates it a little bit, versus just having like raw cabbage, just dressing it a little bit in advance. But we're just doing a simple lime and salt. You could do like a full-on slaw dressing if you wanted, like olive oil and maybe some honey or something like that. So I'll show you what the onions are looking like. So they're just sizzling away. They're not quite translucent yet. But they're smelling good. So I think at this point, I'm going to add in the garlic. Sorry, put my phone back. There we go. So I'm just going to grate this right into the pan. And that's all you have to do for that. And then we'll add the chipotle peppers as well. Again, I'm just probably going to add like a tablespoon or so of this. I find these peppers to be like surprisingly spicy. I don't know if it's just that I'm a baby or that they're actually spicy, but so yeah, we have the garlic in there. And we're gonna just cook this out. I'm also gonna add the cumin at this point. I find when you're adding spices with cooking, you really want to cook out the spice, unless you're toasting the seeds raw and then grinding them yourself. But oftentimes we just buy the ground spice, and when you're adding that to something, it's really nice to cook it out a little bit so it doesn't have that raw flavor. This is what it should sort of look like at this point. The onions are translucent. The spices have been nicely toasted. And then we're gonna add the stewed tomatoes. This is about a cup. And the liquid in this will sort of deglaze the bottom, anything that sort of got stuck. And then we're gonna turn it down a little bit now to like a simmer, a low heat. And then we have some chicken broth as well. You could use water if you didn't have chicken broth, or veg stock, or whatever you have on hand, totally works. It's just sort of really to thin out the sauce. And at this point, we're gonna add the chicken and let it come back up to a simmer. So this is the chicken. I'll give you guys another look at it that I already pulled. It's about 3 cups. Super easy. Add that all in. And bring this back up to a simmer. Let the chicken soak up all the sauce and get all yummy and delish. We also haven't seasoned yet, so I'm gonna add the salt now. We'll add about half a teaspoon or so of salt and let that cook out. Obviously, I always like to say like taste and season as you go, because everyone has different preferences and if your tomatoes had, if your like stewed tomatoes had salt in them, it might be, you don't need as much. So just always taste as you go. So we're gonna leave this sort of at a medium and let this simmer, medium low, I'll say, and let that cook out. We'll leave it off to the side, and then we'll do our apple. Flip you guys around. Our apple slaw. I'm trying to get it so you can see. Cutting board. So I like to use green apple, super tart. It goes well with the spicy chicken, and it looks pretty because it's green. So when I julienne my apples, I like to just cut it into like flat round discs and then go back and cut them into long strips. So I'll just cut it into like pieces like this. And then what you can do is sort of stack them. They're all in individual pieces, but stack them. And then I just like to cut them into like little matchsticks. So you see, like that was super easy to just get these nice thin matchsticky type apple pieces. And we're just gonna mix that right into the cabbage that we already have. So I'll julienne up this entire apple. And then we'll put the lime on and the salt and let that sit for a little bit while the chicken finishes. And then that's like literally pretty much it. Other than garnishes, that's going to be all you really have to do. So it's really easy to put together. And it's delicious. This is perfect for a quick Taco Tuesday. Stack them up and just thinly slice. So I'm looking at my cabbage, and I feel like this is a good ratio right now. If you wanna, I'll try to show you. Ratio of like apple. It's about like, I'd say a third, maybe more, maybe almost half, but a little bit more cabbage. Is sort of what the ratio is there. Chicken's looking good.
And this makes 6 to 8, the recipe you're following?
Yeah, so I feel like it will do, like, depending on how big your shells are, like your tortillas, I find it usually fills like about 8, or if you really want to fill them, like six tortillas. Yeah, about that. You could probably even do like 10, depending on like the filling. Today, I'm just going to show you guys with 6, the plating with 6 tacos.
Okay.
And I'm using just, I'm using corn, like 100% corn masa tortillas that I bought. And I'll show you guys when we're about ready to assemble how I heat these up. Because with the corn tortillas, when they're 100% corn, they can be a little bit like brittle and crack when you try to like fold them. But if you heat them up and heat up the corn, they become a lot more malleable. So that's sort of like a key thing when you're using 100% corn tortillas. If you're using flour or even like half flour, half corn, they're a lot more forgiving. But I really like the corn ones. And you could also use, like, if you wanted to use like a hard shell, you could definitely use a hard shell. I even like to fry, like I'll fry these sometimes in a little oil and get them like crispy, almost like tostada-esque. So just put them in oil, fry them up, and they become like crispy tostadas, which is a fun option as well. So I'll show you what the chicken looks like. So it's, oh, hello. So it's sort of soaked up all the sauce. And you can see, like, even though I left it in big chunks, as it cooks, it continues to pull apart. So that's why I sort of like to leave it in bigger chunks from the beginning, so it doesn't become too fine. But like the chicken's pretty much done. I'll give it a little taste. Excuse my fingers. But yeah, that's done. And then we're gonna dress our slaw right now, which I'm just gonna do with lime and salt. And you really only need like 1 or 2 limes for the recipe. I like to put like 1 juice of lime in the slaw, and then I like a couple wedges for garnish. I'm gonna turn this off. That'll stay hot over there. So yeah, just like 1 juice of 1 lime or half a lime into the slaw. With a little salt. Just toss it up. And the other thing with the apples, since apples will oxidize pretty quick as in like go brown, as you probably had happen to you before, if you're not going to toss them in the lime juice pretty much right away, I would wait to cut the apples till you're like going to eat so they don't go brown. But if you put them in the lime juice, this will help them not oxidize and stay nice and fresh and not brown. Although because I'm using purple cabbage, you can see it sort of dyes the apples anyways. So they sort of become like a purpley color. But yeah, so the slaw is ready to go. And then next, I guess we'll set up our garnishes. So all the garnishes are ready. And then we'll do the tortillas at the very end. So they stay nice and warm. They don't like cool off while we're doing all of our garnish stuff. And I said in the recipe, like optional, because I mean, you could put whatever garnishes you want. I like to use like feta and jalapenos and avocado, but you could put on salsa. You could add like some red onion, whatever you feel. So for the limes for like that I'll be plating with, I just cut them into cute little, like, it was like a quarter and then I cut the quarter in half. So these are just like nice little wedges for people to squeeze on their own taco. And then I'm just gonna thinly slice the jalapeno. I'm gonna leave the seeds in and all, but I do like to slice them like pretty paper thin so they aren't like too spicy. But they look really pretty when you're photographing. So sometimes if I'm just like taking a photo for Instagram, I'll put things on that look pretty, but we don't necessarily have to eat them. But that's more of like a styling trick. So we have some thinly sliced jalapenos I'll put off to the side. And then we also have some feta. This is just like a chunk of feta, and I like to just crumble it in my hand just into little pieces. The feta looks really pretty when we're plating. I'll show you the difference between the taco without the feta and how like the white color really brightens up the photo, like the white from the cheese. So all of our like garnishes and stuff are ready. And maybe now I'll just talk to you guys a little bit about, before we do our whole like taco setup, about like where I like to photograph in my place. So I have really, like, I'm lucky to have really nice natural light, but I do most of my photographing on this table, and I actually like the surface of it as it is. But depending on what you have at home, I would say definitely you want to photograph with natural light. So if you have a window or a door, like bring your table right by there. Like even you can see the natural light here versus like where I was over here. It's just like not as nice. And then what I also wanted to show you guys was different like plate options. So when I photograph on this surface, I really like to use like whites or light colored props and plates as like just for the contrast. I'm gonna show you the tacos on this plate today. I really like doing tacos on this and layering them sort of in a lengthwise. And then I also really like this board for tacos, but I just wanted to show you like when you're photographing, having the two wood, it doesn't look as nice in my opinion versus like the white plate. So I always try to have contrast with my background and the surface that I'm plating on. Versus like I can show you when I do photograph on this countertop, I find like the wood looks a lot nicer than the white plate. So just sort of finding what you have in your house and then finding whatever surfaces you have at home. And you can definitely buy like surfaces from craft stores and stuff like that. I've even seen people buy like the what is it called that you would use for like a project, like they'll Bristol board, yeah. Bristol board, and you can get like fun colors. I've seen people do that, and then on their Instagram feed it looks really cool having the different color backgrounds, so you can like definitely have fun with it. I like am much more of like neutral woods and whites. That's sort of just my style. And then the other surface I wanted to show you is if you just wanted to use a plate. I really like this placemat. I got this from IKEA. It was like super cheap, and I find it looks really pretty and just adds some nice texture below the plate. So things like that can really add to your photo if you have them. And then also like I have some of these fun side plates that are super colorful, which is not really my style, but sometimes it's nice to have a pop of color in the corner. And you can even plate some of the tacos on there and make it a fun little scene versus just having them on the plate. So that's sort of like, this is where I do all my photography. It's not much of a setup, but I find the photos look really good just because of the natural light. And I do all my photos on my camera, on my phone. So I don't use any special app or anything, just use my iPhone. Yeah. So let's do the tortillas. So I'm just going to, actually I have like a gas stove. So I'm gonna heat the tortillas right up on here. And if you don't have a gas stove, that's totally fine. What I would do is just use like a dry skillet, and just heat up the dry skillet and put them right on there. And you like can get them a little toasted. I don't mind when they get a little charred either. I think it looks pretty and tastes good. So you can see some char coming on here, and our chicken's looking good, ready to go. And then while you're doing this, I like to keep them warm in a linen or like a dishcloth. So that one's good. Sorry, I'm trying to do two hands here. It's difficult using one hand. So yeah, this is all that I do for the tortillas. Try not to burn yourself. I gotta say, I'm pretty excited to have this for lunch. Not too bad for a Tuesday. So yeah, we'll just keep them like warm in here so they stay nice and soft. It's the last one. So yeah, I'm just doing 6, but I think we'll have enough filling for more if you were making for more people. Okay, so I think that's looking good. So I'm gonna just get this a little bit more organized, and then we'll go over how I like to plate the tacos. So we have our little like garnishes here that I cut up before. Some cilantro. I know not everyone's a huge fan of cilantro. It's like either you love it or you hate it. So if you don't want it, that's definitely optional. And then we have our chicken. So I'm going to use that white plate I showed you guys earlier. I'm just going to grab it. So it's pretty big. I don't remember where I got it. I think it was actually, I took it from my mom's house. But what I like to do with tacos, and it was in the photo that I think was shared, was like sort of stack them in a row. I think it looks really pretty. And if you're having like company over, it's a really nice way to showcase them all. And they're already all pre-packed and all ready to go. So with your warm tortillas, let's see if I can with this. Let me know if you can't, if you can see, but so what I like to do is sort of stack them against each other like that. And then as you add to them, so they'll sort of use each other to stand up. At work, when we're like doing this for like a client, if we were to actually style this and shoot it in the studio at work, we would like use super glue and glue these together. But because I'm planning on eating this, we're not gonna do that today. Yeah, so we're just gonna sort of stack them against each other. And once the filling's in, they'll like stand up a little bit nicer. So start with the chicken. I like to put the chicken at the bottom. And just put a little bit in each. The other thing I'll say when I'm like styling food for photo, I like to have like extra garnish and extra filling because it's sort of nice to be able to poke some extra bits back in and have the option to like move it and switch it up based on like what the photo looks like. But obviously if you're just trying to like make it look pretty and then enjoy it, you don't really have to worry too much about it. So I'll show you like how much filling I have also left over based on these 6 tacos, so you can sort of see how much it would feed. Oops. So that's what I'll put in for chicken. And this is like the amount of filling we have left. Can you see? So I feel like you could probably get another 2 tacos out of that, maybe even like 3 or 4, depending on the size. And then what I'm gonna do is put the slaw. Oops, we lost. Okay. So then I'm gonna take the slaw. This is the apple and cabbage slaw that we made, and put that on over top. Trying to make it look pretty. And I find this slaw, like I even tried to cut down the recipe more because like you end up having a lot of extra slaw, but I just eat the slaw on the side, so. And cabbage just like multiplies. Like I bought 1 large red cabbage, and I swear it lasted like 5 different recipes. Like it doesn't end. The cabbage just feeds you forever. So that's sort of how much slaw I would put in. And then what we'll do is put some jalapeno slices. I'm just gonna do like 2 or 3. They always say like with styling or with anything really in like art is like never do like 2, always do 3. Just visually it looks better. But I didn't really quite cut enough. So we'll do like that, that's fine. And then some nice sprigs of cilantro. My boyfriend hates when I'm making dinner because it's like, he'll think it's ready. And then I'm like, no, 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 I have to plate it. Takes like another 10 minutes. Okay. And I'm like a little OCD, so I'm always like wiping and making sure it's not messy. Although like sometimes I will say messy looks really pretty, depending on if it's controlled mess. So I'll show you guys this right now before I add the feta. And I like to sort of do it like this. What's it called? Stagger a little bit. So it's not like completely just in a line, but add some nice like texture and flow. But you can see like it looks already really pretty. And then I find when I add the feta, it like really changes it, and like the whites jump out and make it look really pretty. You could also do like crema if you wanted, like, sorry, excuse me, an avocado crema, like sour cream or yogurt or something. But I find the feta really like the white pops a lot. So that is all the garnishes. If you had avocado, I would have added it sort of with the slaw, if you like fanned it out nicely. Yeah, that's the plate. And then what I like to do is just put some limes staggered around. And if you're serving this, people can just squeeze a lime on top. And then you can also add some extra cilantro to fill the plate. Make it look all pretty. So then we'll go over to where I usually would take the photo, and you can see the lighting. Don't want to drop this. That would be awful. But this is where it would be where I usually take my photo. I like to do mostly overhead photos versus like an angle like that. And then like you can also take photos of like specific aspects that you like. Like I really like how this tortilla has a lot of char on it. I think that's really pretty. So like if you wanted to focus in and grab a shot here, you know, like whatever. I usually take like a million photos when I'm shooting food, but sometimes you just want to eat. So yeah, that's sort of how I would style this plate and these tacos. I think there's like so much fun color in them, with the chicken being so bright red and the cabbage and the green. So yeah,
It looks
that's
amazing.
sort of it.
That's awesome.
Hi.
And I love
Such a
the
bad angle.
purple and green. Like, how do you know, like, just the colors look so good together?
I know. I feel like food though, like it always looks like if you just like put a little extra care into each ingredient, it like looks so pretty. Like food is naturally so beautiful. We didn't really change that many of the ingredients. Like they're pretty much in their natural form, all the garnishes and stuff.
Right.
and they look so pretty. Tacos are like an easy one too, because you can just get so fun with the garnishes and the, yeah.
I don't know if you can see or how it looks on your phone, but everyone's like, there's a lot of comments in the chat just saying, pass one through the screen. Amazing.
I know. I wish I could share these with you guys.
Oh, and we have someone who was following along, her and her husband.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you. And I just wanted to, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat. But I just had a couple of questions. What's your favorite like go-to recipe right now? Do you have something that you're always?
For me right now, we actually just got a barbecue, so I've been like very obsessed with using the barbecue, especially with summer, and like just not turning my oven on as much as possible. So yeah, we've been really into like, I like doing a grilled vegetable like salad where I grill all the vegetables sort of like the night before, and then like let them cool down, or like even put some balsamic and let them marinate in the fridge overnight, and then toss those grilled vegetables with either like pasta or even just with greens, is really nice. Just like a different texture of vegetable in your salad, having them grilled and all the like caramelization and stuff. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of grilling these days.
And then you put most recipes, like I know you have your website, we'll just re-add it to the chat, but do you put most up on your website, or is that like, what's your, so I know you have your full-time job, but then you have your Instagram and like you make your own recipes?
Yeah, so I've been trying to, with like the whole quarantine thing in life, I got really into developing my own recipes since I had the time away from work. And I like sharing them on my website, Deelicious Eats. I feel like I need to get back into that and make some time for that, because it's been a weird transition now going back to work. So I think once I sort of get into the flow of things and can set aside some time to actually do more recipe development at home, sort of the goal for me would be to do that full time eventually. So yeah, if you want to check out some of my recipes, there's a lot on my website, and then hopefully there'll be a lot more coming. Yeah.
There's a question that came in. I've been grilling fruit lately. Do you have any suggestions?
Ooh, I like that. I love grilling fruit. Any suggestions for like a recipe, you mean?
Yes.
Or, okay. I actually had this at a restaurant. I haven't tried it at home, but I was obsessed with it. And they did like grilled pineapple with like a coconut whipped cream. So it was completely dairy free, using like the top layer of, if you take a can of coconut milk and put it in the fridge and let it separate, the top layer is just like the coconut fat. You can actually whip that into like a whipped cream. So it was like the grilled pineapple with the coconut whipped cream, which was like amazing. I haven't tried it at home, but that's something I think would be really delicious. And like toasted coconut on top too.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have any more questions coming into the chat, but we have added your website and Instagram. So if anyone thinks of anything after, I think Dee has the contact page.
And if you did make the recipe, share me your photos. I'd love to see.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Dee, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.
We have some more AC Always Connected events coming up, so we'll just add the Student Support Services website into the chat for you to see all the events. And then otherwise, if you came on late to this session, we will be adding the recording to the AC Always Connected website, so you can watch it right from the beginning. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Hey, everyone.